Hare Krishna, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. Let's start.
We can hear you, we can see you.
Okay, just give me a minute, wait.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you, we can see you.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. What am I looking at? I want /2021. Same time, I want to note What is my okay. Okay, and where is that? 6th of May, 30. How is it? Okay. I didn't.
নেট ভালো লাগে।
Yes. But one more time. Okay, let's Bhagavatam. Let me recite the next verse. Yattad vishuddhanubho matramekam swattejasa dhvasta gunavyavastham pratyak prashantam sudhiyopalam dhanam hyanam niraham prapatye. The Lord, whose pure form, Sachidananda Vigraha, is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, can be perceived by pure consciousness. In the Vedanta, he is described as being one without a second. Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature. And because he is not subjected to material vision, he is known as transcendental. He has no material activities, nor has he a material form or name. Only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Let us be firmly fixed at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto those transcendental lotus feet. Okay, we are at 33 and have a long way to go today. Sajagama Vanam Viro Ramapada Prasadakaha. That hero reached the forest to please the lotus feet of Lord Ram. That hero refers to Bharata. Because the previous verse was about Bharata. And Bharata is considered a hero because he had the quality of heroism, Viratva. In this context, It refers to his ability to conquer one's spiritual enemies. And spiritual enemies are lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, delusion. Mind was not attracted to sense objects. That's very clear from the second canto. Evichya sachivaisartham shirasa yachito maya bhratu shishyasya dasasya prasadam kartum arhasi. With these assistants, I bow down my head and beg you should have mercy upon me, your brother, disciple, and servant. So he had surrendered unto the Lord, and he tried to satisfy the Lord. He came with his Chaturangini, with his army in 4 divisions. He tried to satisfy the feet of the Lord. That indicates that he considered Lord Ram to be worshipable. Because Bharata was a servant of Lord Ram, he considered that he was trying to please the lotus feet of the Lord. This is how servants talk. The servants of a king say that they're going to see the feet of the king. They don't say they're going to see the king. We also say we want to attain the lotus feet of Lord Krishna in the spiritual world. He wanted to satisfy or pacify Lord Ram. Lord Ram was not angry at Bharata, but everybody had the conception that because his mother had wanted the kingdom for him, he was involved in this. Ujita mamika mata dattam rajyamitam mama tad dadami punastubhyam yathatvam adadah mama. My mother has been honored by you. This kingdom was merely entrusted to me by you. I give it back to you, just as you had given it to me. Later after the war with Ravana, he will say this. Tatpatu so mahatmanam ramam satya parakramam ayachad bhrataram ramam aryabhava puraskritaha. Approaching the very great soul Rama, who was heroic in being truthful to his words, Bharata begged his brother Rama with a noble attitude. Aryabhava puraskritaha. Bharata considered himself very much honored to even beg Lord Ram to take the kingdom. Tvameva raja dharmagya iti ramam vacho bravit ramopi paramodara sumukha sumaha yasha nachaichat pituradeshat rajyam ramo mahabalaha. Okay, just one minute, let me find out. Okay, let me see. I don't want to mess up this thing. It is here. He told Rama, you as a knower of dharma are the king. Though Rama was extremely generous with a happy face of very great fame and of great strength, he did not want the kingdom because of his father's request. So Bharata, he referred to Lord Rama as Dharmagya, because according to Dharma, that is the law of primogeniture. The eldest son of a king, he should take over the kingdom. That Dharma, he referred to that Dharma. You know this Dharma. Okay, then the commentator takes up an important point. Bharata, he had surrendered unto Lord Ram with a particular desire, and we know that when you surrender unto the Supreme Lord for any purpose, your surrender will always be successful, which means one's desire will be fulfilled. So what was wrong here? Now Bharata, he wanted Lord Ram to take over the kingdom, but Lord Ram refused. So it appears that the process of surrender didn't work here. What was wrong here? Was the person surrendering defective? The person surrendering should execute 6 items of surrender. That is one condition. And then there is the object of surrender, Sharanya. He should be Samartha, capable, and he should be Karuna, compassionate. So what is it? Is it that what was wrong here? Because when one of these two is defective, if out of 6 items we execute anything less than the 6 items, then it won't work. And if Sharanya, the object of surrender, is lacking in capacity or in compassion, then also it will not work. It cannot be the former. It cannot be the latter also. Then why was this? So that is because there was a very powerful obstacle. That powerful obstacle was the demigods surrender unto Lord Ram. They had surrendered to Lord Ram before Bharata had surrendered to Lord Ram, and they wanted Ravana to be killed. And for that, all of this has to be done. So the lesson that we can learn from this is that as long as one's prarabdha karma or karmic reactions that have begun to fructify in the current life of our in our current life, if they are, as long as they are there, then the result of full surrender will not be manifest. Ram's nature was to please the mind of one who had surrendered unto him with his personality, form, and qualities. So even though he could give himself over to his devotees, even though he is always happy to fulfill their desires, even though he is greatly famous as a person who never refused to fulfill the desires of one who approached him, and even though he was expert, still because of this powerful obstacle, he did not accept the kingdom. There is clear evidence that the Lord is very generous, that he gives himself up. The descendants of Kakutsa are also famous for always helping out those who seek their help. Here I have taken the opportunity to explain the three tracks of spiritual progress, and the devotees in these 3 tracks are given particular names. This is stated by Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan. Is also clarified further by Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There are a lot of details there which I've tried to carefully note down here. So I'll simply read this. A sinless person who desires liberation from material existence with loving service to the Lord, while desiring material enjoyment within Vedic Dharma, and while progressing towards liberation from material existence with loving service to the Lord, will take several lifetimes to have his prarabdha karma nullified. Such a devotee is called a Swanishtha devotee of the Lord. He is executing dharma for his own purification. Apart from executing his duties of spiritual dharma, he executes his duties of material dharma, but he does it only to purify his mind from lust, anger, and greed. He will attain his cherished goal at the end of several lifetimes. A sinless person who desires loving service to the Lord with liberation from material existence, and he has no desire for material enjoyment within Vedic Dharma, while he's progressing towards loving service to the Lord with liberation from material existence, such a person will take 1 lifetime to have his prarabdha karma nullified, which means at the end of his current life, then he will be taken to the spiritual world. Both the Swanishtha and Parinishita devotees reach the Vaikuntha world. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur notes that. Baladev Vidyabhushan also notes. Gita, Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, in their commentaries. Such a devotee, Vishnu Chakravarti does not explicitly refer to Swanishtha Parinishita, but he talks about a certain type of devotee which matches Baladev Vidyabhushan's classification of that particular type of devotee. Such a devotee is called the Parinishthita devotee of the Lord. So he is executing dharma, material dharma, for the benefit of everybody around him. Apart from executing his duties of spiritual dharma, he executes his duties of material dharma to inspire others to follow him. He will attain his cherished goal at the end of one lifetime. A sinless person who does not desire material enjoyment within Vedic dharma, and he does not desire liberation from material existence, who only hankers for loving service unto the Lord, will have his prarabdha karma nullified immediately. Immediately means within one lifetime. He does not have to wait for one full lifetime. He does not have to die and then go back to Godhead and all that. Such a devotee is called the Nirapeksha devotee of the Lord. He exclusively executes his duties of spiritual dharma and has neither time nor an attraction for executing any of the duties of material dharma. He will attain his cherished goal immediately. He will not even have to wait until the end of one lifetime. Based on my own studies, I have come to the conclusion, at least tentatively, that Sri Madhvacharya's presentation of spiritual progress corresponds to the progress of a Swanishtha devotee. Sri Ramanuja's track corresponds to the Parinishthita devotee's path of progress. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, definitely he demands nothing less than the standard of a Nirapeksha devotee. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan has elaborately described the characteristics and attainments of each of the above three types of Vaishnavas in his writings, notably his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, Govinda Bhashya, and Siddhanta Ratna. I have a tendency to repeatedly refer to these three tracks because that clarifies many things. Basically, as long as we have a desire for dharmartha kama and moksha and prema bhakti, then we'll take several lifetimes. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Many lifetimes will go until we get bored of dharmartha kama. Then we become surrendered. We become filled with sambandha jnana, jnanavan. Then we surrender unto the Lord. Mam prapadyate. So Sharanagati, as taught in the Pancharatrika scriptures, they deal with the Parinishthita track. One is very strictly forbidden from having any desire for happiness in this, material happiness in this life or in the next life, in the status of Sharanagati. Okay, so this also explains why Sri Govindaraja, the commentator, has stated that as long as prarabdha karma is there, one cannot attain the fulfillment of one's surrender. Because prarabdha karma is a block. It's a block for those who desire moksha with prema bhakti. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, first division, first chapter, must be second chapter. He talks about three types of liberated souls. And he says that there are those who primarily have a desire for liberation and have some desire to satisfy the Lord. Some prema, not exclusive desire to satisfy the Lord in the spiritual world. And then he talks about higher status, where they are primarily interested in selfless service to the Lord, prema seva, but they also have some desire for liberation. This liberation is personalistic liberation, salokya, sashti, samipya, sarupya, and so on. And then there are those who only have a desire to satisfy the Lord. These are very rare. In Vaikuntha, it's very rare. Basically, if you are not in that third track of Nirapeksha, you cannot enter Goloka Vrindavan. That is reserved only for those like that. Radharani is very strict. In Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Devi is very lenient. She allows anyone to get in. Of course, one can progress from Vaikuntha to Goloka Vrindavan. These things are always very good. Paduke chasya rajyaya nyasam dattva punah punah nivartayamasa tato bharatam bharatagrajaha. Bharata's elder brother then gave his shoes as his representative to rule the kingdom and repeatedly sent back Bharata. So, even though it was not fully successful, the Supreme Lord does provide something like the representation of one's desired success. Even for a person who wants liberation with love of God, the Supreme Lord makes him, for all practical purposes, liberated while in material existence. Something like a Jivan Mukta, you can say. Basically detached, oil in the water while in material existence. And of course, he accepts the loving service of that devotee. So that is like a representation of what you would actually get in the spiritual world. So the Lord gave his shoes to Bharata and told him to consider that Ram's shoes are factually ruling the kingdom. I am ruling the kingdom merely as a servant of Ram's shoes. He had to repeatedly send back Bharata because Bharata won't easily go away. Sakamam anavapyaiva Ramapada upasprishan nandigrame karod rajyam Rama agamana kankshaya. Since this desire was not fulfilled, Bharat the kingdom from Nandigram while serving Ram's shoes every day and while hankering for Ram's arrival. This verse points out how a surrendered devotee should serve as object of surrender until his prarabdha karma is exhausted. He hankered for Ram's arrival. That is, he increased his cherished desire to personally serve Ram at the end of the obstacle of 14 years of exile. Because residence at Ram's place of residence without Ram brought Bharata extreme distress, he gave up his residence at Ayodhya and resided at a village near Ayodhya named Nandigram. He ruled the kingdom as a service to Ram's order. This is also an indication that this is how we should be executing our material duties while we wait for the Lord to pick us up. Gate tu bharate shriman satyasantho jitendriya ramastu punaralakshya nagarasya janasya cha tatra gamanam ekagro dandakantra viveshaha. After Bharata had departed, the splendorous controller of his senses, Ram, who was truthful to his promise, considered that the city dwellers might come again and so on. Alas, with a fixed determination, he then entered the Dandaka forests. So now he begins to describe Aranyakanda, the events described in the third canto. In the second canto, Ayodhya Kanda, Valmiki had noted that Lord Ram had fulfilled his father's request. Now he describes that Lord Ram, he was afraid that the promise to his father might be broken due to varied circumstances. Lord Ram didn't expect that Bharata would come with so many people. And it wasn't just Bharata requesting, it was practically everybody requesting. So when Bharata departed, Rama became splendorous in satisfaction. He was still truthful to his promise. And he controlled his senses. So even though his mother requested, Bharata requested, others requested, he could have gone back, he could have taken up the kingdom, but he didn't have a greed for that. Apart from that, the sages at Chitrakuta, they were tormented by various asuras. They said that was because Ram was there. So Lord Ram, he decided that he would enter the Dandaka forests. Dandaka was originally the name of a king who had been cursed by Shukracharya to become a forest. The Dandaka forest referred to the many forests within the area of Dandaka. The entire area is called Dandaka Aranya. It's a proper name. Cursed by the Brahmarshi because of his adharmic action in the auspicious Satya Yuga, he is referred to as the Dandaka forest. So he was adharmic. He didn't adhere to Vedic Dharma. The place where the ascetics lived became Janasthan. Pravishyatu Maharanyam Ramo Rajiva Lochanaha Viradham Rakshasam Bhaktva Sharabhangam Dadarshah. Sutikšnam Chapyagastyam Cha Agastya Bhrataram Tatha. Having entered the great forest of Dandaka, the lotusite Ram killed the Rakshasa Viradha and saw Sharabhanga, Sutikshna, Agastya, and Agastya's brother. So Ram carried out the dharma of obeying one's father within the boundaries of Vedic dharma. Lakshmana demonstrated personal services to the Lord. Bharata surrendered to the orders of the Supreme Lord. Shatrughna, he carried out the dharma of carrying out the orders of the surrendered devotee of the Lord. So now Narada Muni, he begins to talk further about what is presented in Canto 3, Aranyakanda. Primarily, that Lord Ram was truthful to his promises, especially was truthful to promises that he had made to the Brahmins. Lotus side, Rajiva Lochan, indicates that Lord Ram's eyes widened with curiosity upon seeing this Dandakaranya. Usually, before one goes to see a sage, one has to gift him something. So Lord Ram, he killed the Rakshasa Viradha. So that was his gift to this sage, Sharabhanga. He met, after he met Sharabhanga, he met Sutikshna, Agastya's brother. Agastya's brother's name is Darshana, noted in Sanat Kumar Samhita. Agastya was born in a pot. It is understood that Sudarshan was also born and taken care of along with him. Agastya Vachanat Chaiva Jagrahaindram Sharasanam Khadgam Cha Paramapritas Tuni Chakshaya Sayakau. It was by the order of Agastya that Rama accepted with great happiness a bow, sword, and 2 quivers which could produce unlimited arrows and which Indra had given him. So Lord Rama was very happy. And he had now weapons suited to him. These were just given by Agastya himself. It was just Agastya's enthusiastic service to the Lord. Vasatastasya Ramasya Vane Vanacharai Saha Rishayobhya Gaman Sarve Vathaya Sura Rakshasam. While Rama resided in that forest, all the sages along with the forest dwellers approached him with the prayer to kill the Asuric Rakshasas who had obstructed their performance of dharma. So they approached Lord Ram. In this way, the Lord met them. And because of this, all their obstacles to their surrender to him were removed. Right now, he's talking of the forest by Sharvanga's ashrama. These were the Vaikhanasas, Valakilyas, and other sages. These are all very great ascetics. You'll find a huge list of the different types of ascetics and the sort of austerities that they did. For people of us, people like us in Kali Yuga, it's almost impossible to understand the kind of austerities that they executed. But that was expected in Treta Yuga. They were residing in the forests of Chitrakuta and by the Pampa. The Rakshasas are also inflicting great violence upon the residents of the forest by the Pampa and Mandakini, as well as those residing at Chitrakuta. So Rakshasas who had tormented them, they disregarded Lord Ram. And these sages, they said, we reside in your territory, therefore you should protect us. Whether you reside in the city or the forest, you are our king and ruler. Asura Rakshasam. From the technical point of view, Rakshasa is a race. Asura is another race. But when Sri Valmiki refers to the Asuric Rakshasas, it means Rakshasas with an Asuric nature. That is the nature of taking away others' lives needlessly. Needlessly inflicting violence upon the sages and other forest dwellers. So Vibhishana, is born in the Rakshasa race. Vibhishana is not included here because he was not Asuric by nature. There is Daiva and there is Asura. Daiva. Vaishnava and Avaishnava. Two basic categories. Vibhishanastu dharmatma nattu rakshasa cheshtitaha. This is coming from Shurpanakha. She herself describes Vibhishana. However, Vibhishana is a dharmic soul, not acting like the Rakshasas. Everybody's got some ethnic quality. When we make spiritual progress, these ethnic qualities should not interfere in our devotion service unto the Supreme Lord. If we are factually making spiritual progress. Then there were some asuras like Kabandha. The sages, they approached the Supreme Lord Rama and they prayed that all these troublemakers be killed. There is no surrender without submission. When you surrender, you also have to submit and you have to pray. All of these are there. 6 items. Satesham pratishushava rakshasanam tatha vane. Rama then promised to fulfill their prayer in Dandaka, the forest of the Rakshasas. So he noticed the terrible condition of the sages and he promised to remove their obstacles. What did he promise? Pratigyatascha Ramena vada samyati rakshasam rishinam agnikalpanam dandakaranya vasinam. Rama promised the fire-like rishis living in Dandakaranya that he would kill the Rakshasas in battle. Yeah, I think I made a note here. This is about Vibhishana. Shurpanaka's remark regarding Vibhishana. This is spoken by none other than Shurpanaka herself. Unlike modern fellows with academic misconceptions, she is clear about what is dharma and what isn't, even though she and her brothers aren't adherents of dharma. Dharma is that which is prescribed in the Vedas. Veda pranito dharma, hyadharmastad viparyaya. And the Vedas prescribe certain activities and attitudes and prohibit certain other activities and attitudes. Even Shurpanaka understood it, while some of the modern scholars can't understand such a simple thing. Okay, so then Lord Ramachandra, he promised the fire-like rishis, Agnikalpan. They were blazing with their aesthetic prowess. They did not use their prowess to kill the Rakshasas in battle because this prowess is something like, it is due to their sattvic sukriti, which makes you more and more favorable to progress towards liberation and so on. So they don't want to waste it. How Lord Ram began to fulfill the promise is noted next. Tena tatraiva vasata janasthana nivasini virupita shurpanakha rakshasi kama rupini. While Rama lived there, he disfigured the Rakshasi Shurpanakha, who could assume any form at will, and who resided at Janasthan. Shurpanakha literally means having fingernails like winnowing baskets. She was disfigured because her ears and nose were cut. Even though Lakshmana disfigured her, Narada Muni says that Rama disfigured Shurpanakha because Lakshmana will be later described in the Ramayana as Ramasya Dakshino Bahu, Ram's right hand. Tata Shurpanakha Vakyat Ujjuktan Sarva Rakshasan Kharam Trishi Rasam Chaiva Dushanam Chaiva Rakshasam Nijaghana Rane Ramas Tesham Chaiva Padanugan. After disfiguring Shurpanakha, Ram destroyed in battle all the chief Rakshasas, the Rakshasas Khara, Trishira, and Dushana, as well as their followers who had prepared themselves for war upon hearing Shurpanakha's words. Vane tasmin nivasata janasthana nivasina rakshasam nihatanyasan sahasrani chaturdasha. While residing at that forest, he annihilated 14,000 Rakshasas residing at Janasthan. Lord Ram was alone. There were 14,000 Rakshasas on the other hand. Ferocious, extremely ferocious. They were Ravana's soldiers. So in this way, Lord Ram fulfilled his promise to the sages. Okay, then Narada Muni sets the scene to explain how Sita Devi functioned as the mediator between the conditioned soul seeking the Lord's mercy and him. ततो ज्ञाति वधं श्रुत्वा क्रोधमूर्छितः सहायं वरयामास मारीचं नाम राक्षसम्. Then Ravana heard about the death of his relative Khara and became senseless with anger. He then sought the help of the Rakshasa named Maricha. Ravana was both lusty and angry. It's not on one hand. Actually, he thought a lot about whether to kidnap Sita or not, what to do. On one hand, if Rama can kill 14,000 Rakshasas alone, there's no point in going for a direct combat with Rama. So he wanted to do it the easy way. Just do something, take Rama away and kidnap his wife. Just to torment Rama. It wasn't just because he was lusty for Sita Devi. As a bona fide Rakshasa, he wanted to torment Rama. And Lord Ram also played along. Khara was Ravana's relative. Or it is mentioned in the Aranya Parva of Mahabharata that Khara was born to Ravana's mother's sister from Vishrava. Ravana heard about Khara's death from Akampana and Shurvanasha. Akampana was a spy. Ravana is so named because he causes others to cry. Yasman lokatrayam chaitat ravitam bhayam mahagatam tasmat tvam ravano nama namna rajan bhavishyasi. Because the three worlds have cried and become frightened, O king, you will become famous by the name Ravana. Otherwise, he is commonly referred to as Dashagriva, Dashakantha, the one with 10 necks, 10 heads. From Mahabharata, we learned that Vishrava had 3 wives, Pushpotkata, Malini, and Rakha. Ravana and Kumbhakarna were born to Pushpotkata. Vibhishana was born to Malini. Khara and Shurpanakha were born to Rakha. Varyamanastu bahusho marichena saravana na virodho balavata kshamo ravana tena te. Ravana was strongly checked by Maricha. Oh Ravana, your clash with Rama, a stronger person, is not appropriate. So this he spoke based on his own experience. I have experienced Ram's power. He can vanquish Khara and others. He's much stronger than me. Anadhyatu tadvakyam kalachoditaha jagama sakamarichas tasyashrama padam tada. Disregarding Maricha's words, Ravana, impelled by death, immediately arrived at that Ram's ashrama with Maricha. So that Ram, he arrived at that Ram's ashram, that Ram, who was famous for killing Khara, Dushana and others. So went to the place of Ram's ashram. Maricha was blackmailed, so he had not an option. They went to the place of Ram's ashram means they went to the exterior of the Lord's ashram. Maricha, he changed his form into that of a deer and Sita Devi pretended to be attracted to that deer. Then the deer ran away. Lord Ram began to chase it. Sita Devi sent Lakshmana away. Then Ravana disguised himself as a Tridandi sannyasi and came to the ashrama where he met a duplicate Sita. So it is one drama after another drama all going on simultaneously. You try to cheat God, God can cheat you. He is the father of all cheaters. You cannot cheat him. Tena maya vinaduram apavahyan nripatmajau jahara bharyam ramasya gridhram hatva jatayusham. The 2 sons of Dasharatha were taken far away by that magician. Then Ravana kidnapped Ram's wife and killed the vulture Jatayu. So Maricha became a very attractive, colorful, spotted golden deer. So the project work that Ravana had given him was he had to take Ram far away. Somehow or other, he had to do whatever is needed. He had to sometimes be visible, sometimes be invisible, and this way, that way, this way, that way, and take very far away. And then while dying, he had to cry out in a voice that resembled Ram's voice. First of all, this was totally unnecessary. Even after Ram shot the arrow, there is no need for Maricha, when he is about to die in the next 5 seconds, to obey Ravana. He could have disobeyed Ravana. He would have immediately told Lord Rama in a soft voice, "Oh my Lord, I'm very sorry. I surrendered to you. I was under, you put a gun on my head, therefore I'm doing this. Please forgive me." Bang! He would have got liberated. He would have done everything. Unnecessarily, he did it. And then, when the vulture Jatayu had arrived to release Sita, Ravana killed him. On the other hand, we see Jatayu. Jatayu knew, actually, Sita Devi, when Jatayu came to hell, Mother Sita just told Jatayu, "You go away, you go away. You go away and tell my husband that this has happened." She specifically said, "Don't come, because you don't have the strength, you're old, Ravana will destroy you." He knew that he is going to die, and still he came. Therefore, Lord Ram, he was very satisfied and very happy with Jatayu's attempt. When the vulture Jatayu had arrived to release Sita, Ravana killed him. That is, he hurt Jatayu to such an extent that he eventually succumbed to death. Sita Devi gave a blessing that his life would remain until he met Lord Rama and spoke the bare minimum that was required to convey. On the authority of the Puranas, learned authorities declare that Sita created a false Sita and then personally entered into fire while the false Sita was kidnapped by Ravana. When the false Sita entered into the fire after Ravana was killed, the real Sita came out of fire. This we know comes in a number of places, Kurma Purana and some other places also. Gridhram cha nihatam drishva khritam shutva cha maithilim raghava shoka santapto vilala kulendriya. Noticing that the vulture had been vanquished and hearing from him that Maithili, Sita had been stolen. Maithili is the name of Sita. It means the princess of Mithila had been stolen. Raghava Ram burnt in distress and lamented while his senses were agitated. So Lord Ram, he killed Maricha in the form of a deer. When he came back, he didn't find Sita Devi in the leaf cottage. Then he and Lakshmana searched for her and noticed Jatayu, who was about to die. Jatayu told that she was stolen by Ravana. So he was already in distress. When he saw Jatayu die, then he was in extreme lamentation. Raja Dhramsho Vane Vasa Sita Nashta Hatodvuja Idrishiyam Mama Lakshmi Nirdahe Dabipavakam. My kingdom is lost, my residence is in the forest, Sita has been stolen, my friend, the bird Jatayu, has been killed. Such inauspiciousness as this can burn even fire. So there are so many, despite all causes for good fortune, Rama was a descendant of Raghu. Sita Devi was from Mithila. Still she was kidnapped. How is it possible for an incarnation of Lord Vishnu to lament or be bewildered like this? In answer, it can be said that it is indeed possible for the Supreme Person to do so. If these qualities do not exist in him, even after losing something exceptional in possessing the best features in the world, how could he be the Supreme Person? How could he be extremely beautiful? In other words, the Lord has his Madhurya feature, which we see in Lord Ram. Of course, in all the Vishnu Tattva forms, there is Aishwarya, there is Madhurya, there is Audarya, magnanimity also. Mutino Thakur has noted these three features of the Supreme Personality of God. In particular forms, one or more of these features may be prominent. In Lord Ram, we notice that his madhurya is also manifest in situations like this. Vyasaneshu manushyanam bhusham bhavati dukkitaha. Ramachandra becomes greatly distressed upon seeing people's calamities. This is one of the reasons why they wanted Ram as a king. Hanuman will also explain. It is with great difficulty that Lord Ram, deprived of Sita, maintains his body and does not yield to despair. But this is all fully spiritual. Rupa Goswami is noted in Bhakti Rasamrita into Ashtadasha Mahadoshe Rahita Bhagavat Tanuhu Sarvaishwarya Mayi Satya Vijnananda Rupini. The body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is filled with all opulences and is the very form of truth, knowledge, and bliss. It is devoid of the 18 great defects. These are the 18 great defects. Mohastandra, Brahmaruksha, Rasata, Kama, Ulpanaha, Lolata, Madhava, Himsa, Kheda, Parishramo, Asatyam, Krodha, Akanksha, Ashanka, Vishwavid, Brahmaha, Vishamatvam, Parapeksha, Dosha, Ashta, Dashodita. The following defects are the 18 great defects. Bewilderment, sleep, error, rough attachment, lust that produces suffering, fickleness, intoxication, envy, violence, exhaustion, toil, dishonesty, anger, hankering, worry, absorption in worldly affairs, prejudice, and dependency on others. Shri Vishnu Chakravarti and Shri Jiva Goswami have commented on these verses of Bhakti Rasamrita. With the exception of rough attachment and lust that produce suffering, the Supreme Lord exhibits the rest of the above only out of his affection for devotees. Then under those situations, effectively virtues, good features. So when we laments for Jatayu, it is because of the selfless affection for him. It's not a conditioned soul, nor is he a liberated soul. He is perpetually beyond the liberated and conditioned souls. Bhagavatam also says, Va shoka moho sneho va bhayam va yegya sambhava va chakandita vijnana vijnanaishwaryastva. How can lamentation, bewilderment, material affection, or fear, all born out of ignorance, be ascribed to the infinite Supreme Lord, whose perception, knowledge, and power are all similarly infinite? Yat pada sevayor jita yatma vidyaya hinvantyam anadhyatma viparyaya graham labhanta atmiyam anantam aishwaram kuto namoha paramasya sadgate. By virtue of self-realization, fortified by souls rendered to his feet, devotees of the Lord dispel the bodily concept of life, which has bewildered the soul since time immemorial. Thus they attain eternal glory in his personal association. How then can that supreme truth, the destination of all genuine saints, be subject to illusion? So it is clear from Bhagavatam, from the Puranas, we can clearly understand the real situation. In Tattva Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami, he notes that the itihasas have to be understood through the Puranas. The Puranas are superior to the itihasas, which implies that the itihasas have to be understood as explained by the Puranas. The Puranas have to be considered to be nirnayaka or clarifying the itihasas. And amongst the Puranas, the Bhagavata Purana clarifies the remaining 17 Puranas. So if we understand this methodology of communication of the Vedic scriptures, then the Ramayana is understandable coherently. The Ramayana is an itihasa, so it should be understood in terms of Sri Vyasadev's Puranas, which should be understood in terms of Srimad Bhagavatam. So from the Puranas and from Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand the status of Lord Vishnu in all of his different forms. Lord Vishnu meaning Vishnu Tattva. It's fully pure. Madhvacharya gives special attention to this. He's a disciple of Vyasadeva, so therefore he extensively bases his analysis of the pastimes of the Lord always and consistently in terms of Vyasadeva's description. So from that we understand that this is simply like a drama for Lord Ram. ततस्तेनैव शोकेन गृध्रं दग्ध्वा जटायुषं मार्गमाणो वने सीतां राक्षसं सन्ददर्शः कबन्धं नाम रूपेण विकृतं घोरदर्शनम्. Filled with lamentation for him, he burned the vulture Jatayu, and alas, while searching for Sita in the forest, met a Rakshasa named Kabandha, whose form was distorted, one who was of terrible appearance. Sita Devi was distorted. But Lord Rama was mourned with the death of this vulture Jatayu because he was a friend of King Dasharatha's father. Because he gave up his life in service to Ramachandra, the object of service, Ramachandra burnt his body. That is, he performed the Brahmameda ceremony of final rites for Jatayu. Sri Valmiki will note this. Yat tat pretasya matyasya kathayanti vijatayah tat swarga gamanam tasya priyam ramo jajapaha. Ram recited mantras to the forefathers which lead the deceased to the heavens and which the twice born describe as being fit for recitation for diseased humans. Jatayu deserved such honor because he was a liberated soul who had given up his body. From the Nrsimha Purana. Ram Leela comes in many places. It is described in the Nrsimha Purana also. Matkrite nidhanam yasma tvaya praptam bhujottam tasmat tvam mat prasadena vishnulokam avapsyasi. Or Vishnu said, O best of the twice born, because you have given up your body for my sake, by my mercy, you will attain Vishnu Loka. Then here is a general principle. Vishnu karyam samuddishya dehatyago yatah kritaha tato vaikuntamasadya mukto bhavati manavaha. When a man gives up his body to fulfill the mission of Lord Vishnu, he attains Vaikuntha and becomes liberated from material existence. So if we simply engage in study of Shuddha Bhakti, the practice of Shuddhi, and the dissemination of Shuddha Bhakti, we are participating in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. So this is good assurance for us. Okay. Lord said, even a mortal, not meaning a human, who gives up his life for me and was surrendered unto me, goes to my residence in a vehicle that blazes with the illumination of the rising sun. And in the Ramayana, Yagatir Yagyashilana, Ahitagneshcha Yagati, Aparavartinam, 1 minute. Aparavartinam Yacha Bhumi Pradayinam, Mayatvam Samanugyato Gachalokan Anuttaman, Grithra Raja Mahasattva Sanskritascha Maya Vraja. With my permission, go to those unrivaled worlds that are the goals of sacrifices, the goals of those who perform austerities surrounded by fires, the goals of those who do not return to material existence, and the goals of those who renounce their properties. O king of the vultures, O great being, purified by me, go. Now, for some peculiar reason, a number of interpreters of Ramayana, both modern and ancient, they consider this, there's one phrase here, the goals of those who do not return. They consider this to mean the goals of the Kshatriyas who go on battle and who do not return. But there's a great difference, because a Kshatriya who does not turn back will naturally attain the result of going to the heavens. It does not need special favor of the Supreme Lord. So all these worlds can be attained by the Lord's special mercy. One simple meaning is that now it is acknowledged that when we do each of these, when we properly perform fire sacrifices, when we properly perform austerities surrounded by fires, when we properly renounce our properties and so on, we execute our material duties, we attain various material benefits. This is what is called Lokajaya, conquering the planets, which means earning your destination in a particular celestial and opulent abode. When we perform pious activities, then we are awarded residences in these areas, and this is what is called conquering those abodes. So when one surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, if he has material desires, he gradually proceeds in stages towards liberation while experiencing the happiness of each of these. The Swanishtas actually experiences the track one devotees, those who have desires for dharma, and okay, here is a question. How is it possible for Lord Ram, who behaves like a human being, to give liberation from material existence to a vulture? An act that can only be done by the Supreme Personality of God himself. The answer is that he did so to teach that human beings can attain all the worlds described in the Vedic literature if they stick to the absolute truth, if they stick to the truth. Specifically, truth here refers to the supreme truth. After killing Jatayu, while searching for Sita, Rama and Lakshmana came upon Kabandha. Kabandha's head was in his stomach. His appearance was terrifying to see. Narada Muni says, alas, out of distress that searching for Sita is like coming upon is referred to as a Rakshasa. Son of Danu means a Danava. These are all various species. One's birth does have an impact in one's life unless he is a full-fledged Nirapeksha sadhaka, or at least until he has surrendered unto the Lord, desiring liberation along with love of God. If he also has desires for material happiness, then these things do matter. These things do matter. Note that simply not pursuing these desires that is not the consideration. We cannot, if one wants to attain liberation within one lifetime, then one needs to be appropriately qualified, which means he neither endeavors to fulfill his material desires, and he has to come to the point where these material desires actually don't exist in his mind. Okay, in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there is a brief description of different types of people who progress towards higher destinations. Brihad Bhagavatamrita clarifies the destination of various practitioners in the point where those gradually proceed in stages towards liberation from material existence fits in. Here. Now, these are spoken by Uttara Devi to Parikshit Maharaj. Brihad Bhagavatamrita is a true story. It's not a fiction created by Sanatana Goswami. By auspicious duties, householders with desires can achieve the 3 celestial worlds, and persons who have renounced their homes can reach the 4 worlds still beyond those. But when their enjoyment ends, all these persons must return to this one. So the only select few of those who have reached the planets of Mahar and beyond are liberated along with Brahma. This is the slow track. People going through the slow track. Or they might have, due to some other reason, they might have achieved Maharloka and beyond. केचित् क्रमेण मुच्यन्ते भोगान् भुक्त्वार्चिरादिषु लभन्ते यतयः सद्यो मुक्तिं ज्ञानपराहि ये. Some persons enjoy pleasures in upper regions like the realm of fire and attain liberation gradually in stages. And ascetics fully devoted to spiritual knowledge quickly obtain liberation. So this, notice this, they attain liberation gradually. This is the Swanishtas are like this. Vishuddha yanti tatpadam. But even the devotees of the personality of God who still have material desires can enjoy pleasure they wish and then become fully purified and go to the Lord's abode. So now this refers to those who don't engage in sinful activities, those who do not engage in family life or aspect of dharma, karma, those who do not engage in activities of the Jnana system, and those who exclusively engage in devotional service, which means devotional service in technical sense. Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So talk about person through Maharaj. Why is Dhruva Maharaj considered a hero? The activities of Atma and so they were exclusively focused on service alone. So when I was like any but within it doesn't take a full life. Even within that, it goes away. With this in mind, we have the verse. This means stop else in life. Stop else in life and you okay, can you hear me now? Can anyone hear me now? Can anyone hear me now? Right now. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anyone can hear me?
We can hear you, bro, but it's cutting a little bit.
Sorry. Is it breaking every now and then? What's the problem?
Breaking, bro.
Breaking. It's breaking.
The voice is breaking, bro.
My voice is breaking. What should I do to solve this problem? What is it? Anyway, let me just try it out. See what I don't know how else to solve this problem. So, Tivra Bhakti, so here when Sanatana Goswami is presenting a discussion about devotees of the Lord, then he's talking about those engaged in Tivra Bhakti. So if you're engaged in Tivra Bhakti, then those desires are properly dealt with. The Lord may fulfill those desires, but those desires are fulfilled and then they're removed also. And then very rapidly that requires that kind of engagement, like Dhruva Maharaj, like the Muni, all the reason just that much of trust in the Supreme Lord, faith in the Supreme Lord. Vaikuntha Durudai Sandaranandatmakam Kama Ye Bhakta Lavante Satya Evata. That abode Vaikuntha made of concentrated ecstasy and consciousness. That abode is made of concentrated ecstasy and pure consciousness. Even for liberated souls, it is difficult to attain. But the last devotees who are free from selfish desires reach it at once.
Should I say it in my hardest part? My internet?
Okay. Okay, let me try another way right now. Just give me a minute. Galaxy.
Yeah, Galaxy.
Okay, just 1 minute. What is the record? It's not recording. Okay. Okay, let's try it out. This hopefully it works. Okay, so the Nishkama Bhaktas, they certainly attain the Lord's abode. Lavante Sadhya Evatat. That too immediately. Immediately means at the end of one lifetime. Okay, then Tam Nihatya Mahabahur Dadaha Swargatashtas. Right on Rama destroyed him and Kabanda attained the heavens. Rama was mighty armed, cut off Kabanda's arms. Kabanda wanted that the Lord burn his body, attain the heavens. Sachasya Kathayamasa Shabarin Dharmacharini Shramanin Dharma Nipunam Kabanda stood for a moment in the skies on the way to the heavens and told Raghava to respectfully approach Shabari, a lady renunciant who was absorbed in carrying out her dharma of serving her spiritual masters and so on, and who was capable of carrying out the duty of properly honoring her guests. Shabari had reached the ultimate stage of being fixed and respectful surrender unto a bona fide Acharya, technically known as Acharya Abhiman. Later we'll see. Shabari will request Lord Ram to bless her to attain the destination attained by her spiritual masters whom she had served. So she knew the subtleties of carrying out dharma. It is well known that she used to repeatedly examine the sweetness of sweet fruits by personally tasting them in order to give to Ram when he met her. She was a Shramani. She was a female wandering mendicant. She was a female sannyasi. Woman, but usually some women can't help but be that. That too, she was Shabari. She was a female Shabara. This is a case of Pratiloma, wedding combination, where the wife's varna is superior to the husband's varna of a particular type. A Shabara is stated to be one born of a Vaishya husband and a Kshatriya wife. So when that happens, on a particular, he has to bring honey from tree and sell them to maintain himself and his dependents. Kabanda stood for a moment in the skies on the way to the heavens and said, stop carrying her and doing her duty of honoring her guests. The idea, the indication here is a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so glorious that even a person born in an inferior community should be approached respectfully. We find Bhagavad says that the Kirata and the devotees of the Supreme Lord. It doesn't directly say that if you serve the Supreme Lord, you'll be purified. It says if they serve those who are pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, then they'll be purified. Acharya Abhiman is a technical expression. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains it like this. Ami Bhagavad Acharya Nikat Apon Dukha Janay Ahit Dhrida Sambandhe Bhagavad Bhajan Korar Nam Acharya Abhiman. With the consideration of being incapable of properly executing karma, jnana, bhakti, or even surrender unto the Lord. And not to do what is right to attain Supreme Lord, to inform him of one's distress condition, and to engage in devotion service unto the Supreme Personality of God. In a relationship with that Acharya is called Acharya. So now here we should be careful to ensure that that Acharya is, all of his Bhakti Shiksha is spotless. But Shabari had taken to this particular process and therefore Lord Ram was delighted to see her. Mahateja Shabarim Shatrudanaha Shabarya Purita Samodhathat Maja. Ram of great strength and the destroyer of enemies respectfully approached Shabari, and Shabari worshipped Dasharatha's son Ram completely. So Ram was of great strength because he could meet someone who would attain the stage of absolutely surrendering unto her spiritual masters, bona fide spiritual masters. And he was a destroyer of enemies. Destroyer of enemies means destroyer of obstacles to spiritual purification. She herself will say, I have been purified by your charming glance. By your mercy, I will attain the inexhaustible worlds. Kamishyami Akshayan Lokam. The fact that Ramachandra respectfully approached Shabari, the most fallen by birth, points out that he is abundantly good in behavior to all respective of their status of birth. I think we can confidently assert that those who are fully surrendered unto Srila Prabhupada without having the slightest doubt in his teachings, they should also be respectfully approached, irrespective of their birth. Though Lord Ram had been fed foodstuffs with great honor by the favor of Dasharath, who had been sunless for 60,000 years, he considered the sweet rice offered to him by Shabari, whom he had just met at that time alone, to be superior. Sages from Sharabhanga to Agastya had previously worshipped Ram, but Shabari worshipped Ram completely. This is because she served the Supreme Lord through his pure devotees. Mama mad bhakta bhakteshu pritir abhyadika bhavet. I am more pleased with devotees of my devotee. She also completely worshipped Lord Ram because she had examined the taste of the fruits she had offered him in pure selfless love. Mad bhakta pujya bhyadika. Worship of my devotees is superior to worship of me. Lord Chaitanya is quoted from Adi Purana. Ye me bhakta janah partha name bhaktascha te jana. Mad bhaktanam cha ye bhaktas te me bhakta tamamata. Lord Krishna to Arjuna. Those who are my direct devotees are actually not my devotees, but those who are the devotees of my servant are factually my devotees. Pampa tire Hanumata Sangato Vanarenaha Hanumat Vachana Chaiva Sugrivena Samagataha. He then met the monkey Hanuman on the banks of the river Pampa. On the request of Hanuman, he met Sugriva. From now onwards, the fourth canto, Vishkinda Kanda, is summarized. How to maintain friendship. That is the theme of this canto. Pampa was a lotus pond. When Lord Ram was by banks, his remembrance of Sita Devi was especially deep. Narada Muni was delighted upon Vanarena Hanumata. Hanuman, the monkey Hanuman. This indicates that Hanuman did not disguise himself like Ravana. Hanuman had disguised himself, it's a fact. But very quickly he revealed his true identity. He had to disguise himself because Sugriva had pointed out that that's how we should meet him. It is implied here that when one gives a favorable mediator, one can attain friendship with a worthy person. Sugrivaya chatat sarvam shamsadramo mahabalaha aditas tad yathavrittam sitayascha visheshataha. Ram of great strength told Sugriva about that had taken place from the very beginning, especially about Sita. No, Narada Muni, he said Ram revealed confidential details to Sugriva. If you want this friendship, you have to confide I think this verse of Rupa Goswami, Dadati Pratikritnati Gokhimakhyati Prachati Punkte Bhujete Chai, that matches with the theme of this canto, fourth canto, Kishkinda, in which how one can establish a proper friendly relationship is dealt with in detail. He told Sugriva about everything that is from his birth. He specifically told Sugriva about Sita and how she had been kidnapped by Ravana and so on. Because he was searching for her, he specifically spoke about her. Hearing all of that from Ram, fire as a witness of. Here we find friendship among two persons who are very dissimilar. On the other hand, you have a monkey. This shows Ram's extreme character. He was a lower human being. He was respectful to Shabari. Shabari is, first of all, a very fallen community amongst human beings. And she was a woman on top of it. So this shows that he was not just having good character, he had better character. Now, him establishing friendship with an animal shows he had best character. This point comes up in Hanuman's description of Lord Ram, Bhagavatam 5th canto. Tato Vanara Rajena Vairamampati Rama King informed Ram all about his enmity with Vali, out of his affection for Ram and out of his distress. So Sugriva, he and explained was the cause for his hostility to Vali. Did so out of affection. Pratigyatam cha Ramena tada Vali vadham prati Valinascha balatratyamata vanaraha. Then Rama promised that he would kill Vali. Then at Rishyamukha, the monkey Sugriva tried Vali's strength without getting fatigued in the least. To the before. So this is to Lord Ram more enthusiastic to kill him. Sugriva Shankitascha Nityam Viryana Raghave. Sugriva was always doubtful of the strength of the descendant of Raghu. So Lord Ram, until he pierced the Sala trees, Sugriva was always doubtful whether he was capable of killing Vali or not. To make Rama understand Vali's strength, so showed him his body was mountain. Wanted to Ram's strength, wanted understanding of how showed him Dunduvi Vali. Right now, and very Bali had kicked into with his foot. It was flying across. Seeing the bones of Dundubi, the Ram of great strength smiled and with his toe kicked the body up and away to a distance of 10 yojanas. So Lord Ram looked at it and said, that's all. And he kicked it with his toe. Vali had been thrown.
Some problem with Zoom.
I don't think it's a problem. Is it a problem with Zoom?
You are here. Here, the screen, you are not just, you are in the room, but you will see.
Can see. Furthermore, with a single great door, and 7 taller trees, the nearby, and thus generating confidence in him. Sugriva, he presented an argument that it is not Vali's normal strength that he was tired, but Rama was in good health. Therefore, he was able to, and all the body didn't have any fluid; it was just a skeleton. Whereas when Vali kicked Dundubi was alive. So therefore, he was not still fully convinced. He pierced 7 solitaries and arrows, went through a mountain and reached Sata. Tatah pritam manastena vishwastassa mahakapihi Krishnamastito jagama. This incident, the great monkey Sugriva became pleased in mind because of Ram's act and became confident of him. At that time, he again went to the cave-like city Kishinda, this time with Rama. This time Sugriva was confident. Great monkey. Sugriva, of course, he thought that he was already appointed in the kingdom and so on. Tato garjayad dharivara Sugrivo hemapingala tena nadena mahata nirjagama harishwaram. After reaching Kishkinda, the best of the reddish brown complexion roared. Hearing that great roar, the lord of the monkeys, Vali, came up to face him. So he thought that he's the best of monkeys. So Narada here, in fun, refers to him as the best of monkeys. We'll see now what happens. But he was no longer, he was, when Vali heard the roar, he came out of his home. When Vali came, he consulted Raghu. Then the descendant of Raghu then killed Vali in that place with single arrow. Tara, together said Sugriva is being killed by Rama. Sugriva is already defeated. Why has he come? Because come means you'll be alive after this. When Vali told that Rama is the best of the dharmic persons, he fired at him, why at me? But Rama he knew. As a descendant of Raghu, that is born in a great dynasty, Rama was aware of the subtleties of dharma. Vali was fighting with someone other than Ram. Still, with a single arrow, Ramachandra killed him. He did not use the and it killed him then, for it was well known that Vali had a benediction that acquired the strength of anyone who faced him. There's a chapter where Ramachandra he talks to Vali. Vali accuses Lord Ram. So what is this? It's so adharma is that. Then Lord Ramachandra he refutes each of his points in detail. Then hearing Sugriva's words, Raghava killed Vali during his fight with Sugriva, and he enthroned Sugriva as the sole king of Vali's kingdom. Sugriva, he had pleaded with Ram. Some of And the king of the monkeys, Sugriva, then called I think next session I'm going to do in a different place, not this place. All donkeys. Go find Sita and let me know. Drasya Shatayojana Vistinam Upluve Lanarnavam. Then on the instructions of the Valmiki Samati, across that extend 100. Now we come to the celebrated Sundarakanda. This time she was in the cantus, the most important canto. Similarly, in the Ramayana, the 5th canto, Sundarakanda is Hanuman was strong. He had immeasurable strength. Hanuman itself indicates that his jaws were swollen. All of these background details about these personalities are revealed. Two words. Right.